Okay, we're back. Here we go, part 4.
So you only need the necessary crew in there for shooting the camera. Everybody else leaves, and as soon as they cut, they come running back in.
Okay. Real quick before she shows you that, the other thing I wanted to know, and it's probably helping she does show you those rounds. Have you, in your experience, ever been told that you're not supposed to cock the gun?
No.
No, you're okay.
He wanted me to cock the gun in the scene.
Okay.
He wanted that as part of the scene. He said, "I'm going to take the gun out, turn, and cock it into the."
Okay, so not a bad question. At least we're getting down to some technical aspects of what happened. But don't let him get away with this. You said he wanted it cocked. How do you know he wanted it cocked? Did he say, Alex, when you draw, I want you to cock the gun? Or did you just think he wanted it cocked? We still don't know that answer. Why? I've said it enough.
Right, my left to their right of the lens. In other words, if I'm sitting here and you're the camera, we don't talk about my left. We talk about camera right. Camera right, you only talk about the camera. Camera right is my left. Okay. So if I'll say to you, where do you want me to aim the gun? They'll say, camera right. So I aim the gun to my left.
Okay.
So I always aim the gun away, but she was there. And in the rehearsal, he wanted me to pull out the gun and cock the gun. And if you're assuming you have a cold gun...
He wanted you to. How do you know he wanted you to? Did he say that? Did he ask you? Is this the first time you've ever cocked a gun in a rehearsal? Why did you cock the gun? I don't think he was supposed to cock it. I think he cocked it on his own. And he's trying to cover this up. This is where I think he's kind of misleading.
There's no problem.
Right.
And again, a cold gun I'd had. Every time we've used guns in this film the last 2 weeks, we never had one problem. Never. Never.
Okay. And I don't, maybe we need to discuss this when I was going. After the gun was shot, who did you hand the gun to?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I made everybody freaked out.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
It was one of those two people, Halls.
I wouldn't have let him off that easy. All right, let's go back. You were at the scene. You cocked the gun. Did you pull the trigger or you didn't? I'd go through the whole thing again. And I say, when it went off, you said that Joel yelled and Halyna didn't say anything, correct? And you said Halyna fell immediately. Did you look at the gun? Did you smell gunpowder? What did you do next? Talk him through it. These two idiots. I don't remember. Okay, let's move on. What a freaking bunch of idiots.
I don't really know. I would imagine, well, there's the dummy there. So that's probably a dummy round. And there's no drill in this. That might be a flash round. And as I said,
so flash rounds do not have holes?
Well, the flash round has a charge in here of powder, different sizes. Like I said, quarter, half, full load, and a wadding in there to pack it in. It's packed in.
Okay, so I don't know, but I think that round that he's calling a flash round now is the one that I can't tell if they're saying whistles or rings or there's a BB. So the one with the hole in it, I don't know if the hole has a BB. Again, these guys haven't cleared down this interview. I should know all these answers from this interview if they were doing their job. But I don't know shit.
Highly.
Okay.
So when you hit this pin, it explodes. Now, sometimes it has this material there if you have to have the cosmetic feature through the gun and then shoot. But often it has, there's the BBs in there. This is a dummy round. No dummy here, but there's that. My point is that very often when you give me, when she's loaded...
Again, they didn't clarify. So wait a minute. Are you saying both these are dummies and they're just two different types of dummies? Or are you saying one round's a hot round? They didn't lock him down. They let him tell a story. They're sitting there with their arms folded, mesmerized by the star Alec Baldwin, and they're just taking whatever he says.
The gun with rounds for us to go hot and flash and shoot, they'd had that creased, folded head. The dumpling head, as we say.
He's calling creased. I'm calling crimped. It looks like a pointed crimped. Looks like you just take a casing and you just squeeze it in a circle and it just crimps down on itself.
Okay.
They've almost never looked like this for the flash. Only when the camera sees inside the cylinder do you put those in there.
But those are both dummy rounds.
That's a dummy round. That's a dummy round.
Huh. At least we got it out. They got lucky by accident. But those are both dummy rounds.
That's what they taught me.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert.
Oh, somebody's dead. This is funny. She's dead. Somebody got killed. We're going to talk to a star. We're just so happy. Shit, let's laugh. Let's have a good time. We're doing a freaking murder investigation here, people.
I'm sure you have more experience with something else than we do.
I doubt that. I'm sure I always say to my wife, I think I should get a gun. I'm getting a little nervous about the word I met with. No guns in my house. I got 6 kids. I'm 63 years old, and I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and an 8-month-old.
Holy shit! He's got all these kids at 60 what?
In my house, I got 6 kids. I'm 63 years old, and I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and an 8-month-old that we have as a surrogate.
6 kids. None of them over 10. And he's 63. Dude, you need to go get those boys cut, or you need to be with less fertile women. That damn woman of yours getting pregnant when you breathe on her.
Oh my gosh.
I'm 63 years old, and we had 6 kids in 7 years. So my wife she was born in the U.S. but raised in Spain. She's like, Alec, we will not be having any guns in the house. No. But
Okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't have guns because you're an idiot. And you don't know the difference between pulling the trigger and what's safe. And you don't check a gun when you get it. People like you shouldn't own guns. But just because you're a freaking idiot doesn't mean nobody is smarter than you and they own guns. Because there's millions of guns that don't kill people all over the country every day. But you got idiots like this in Hollywood. Man, I get more damn calls.
I believe that's a dummy round.
So you called this a flash round, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're changing the story again. She just said they're both blank rounds. And now she's saying you call this a flash round. Which, I'm more confused than a damn newborn baby in a topless bar. I don't know what the hell these women are talking about.
Flash round means there's a charge in there. No charge in there, if you hear that sound.
Okay.
No charge in there if you see that.
So what happens
So I
when
was
you shoot these? Or to what you?
You put them in there cosmetically with nothing in them so that through the cylinder you can see that.
Okay.
These two women are idiots. Does anybody else have a problem on what the hell a dummy round's purpose is? He's explained it like 8 times and these two idiots still can't get it.
You can see in the cylinder whether the cylinder is empty, and they look bad, continuity-wise, or that there's a round in there. So they put a cosmetic round in the chamber. They load the gun, close it, and then I hold the gun. You see the things in there. A flash round would be like what crimped is the word. A crimped round.
These girls just like hearing him talk. They just want to hang out with him.
With a charge inside, and that one shoots, and there's no projectile. I'm really challenged.
This is what's called the interviewer has taken over the interview. They're not conducting an interview and questioning and locking down and getting facts and statements. They're not doing any of that. They're just kind of in there letting him tell stories, and it's kind of cool. Wow. If we just had more female officers, then our police force would be more competent. Government always just needs more.
Whether they ever see, I doubt, sometimes they have these where you can do both, but that's the clay material. But usually, 99% of the time when we shot a flash round, it was the crimp thing, and you don't see it inside the cylinder. Okay. So you're the camera, and I'm not pointing where you can see it, I'm off a little bit, and all you see is the flash.
Do you know what would happen if you shot one of these? Have you ever had experience with that?
Nothing.
Nothing happens with them?
There's no charge in them.
What an idiot. This girl is they put 2 idiots in there that don't even know what a freaking bullet and a dummy are. How the hell is something going to go off when there's no powder, no primer? There's a hole where the powder goes. Of course nothing's going to go off, you freaking idiot.
This indicates. Right, well, sometimes they have the pin to create something. I'm just saying, when I look at this, when I go like this, now, by the way, there could be a charge in there, and that charge and those BBs could come out. I don't.
What do you mean there could be a charge? It's not a dummy. What? Somebody qualify what he just said. Wait a minute. You're telling me, even though it's got a BB, it can still go bang and send a projectile out? I've watched almost 2 hours of interviews of the armor expert and the director and a weapons expert from all his movie experience for all practical purposes, and I still don't know what the hell these rounds do.
No, I don't know enough about it to know whether this rattling indicates that it's an empty, a cold round. That's obviously a cold round, because that's where the gunpowder would be in here. That's a cold round. This, I'm assuming, is a cold round, because they go like this to tell themselves it's a cold round. I believe, please don't take my word for it,
Just in your experience.
I'm a father of 6 children, pretty much. That's all I do these days. My experience is those are both cold rounds.
Okay.
And I was told by Halls...
I'm a father with 6 kids, that's all I do. Well, actually, you don't. Actually, you kill an unarmed woman on a movie set with a gun that you held, that you didn't check, that you didn't make sure was clear, that you thought was empty, and it killed somebody because you pulled the trigger, but you said you didn't pull the trigger. Okay.
That when they took the gun away and looked at them, every round inside the gun was a cold round, except the one round was not only a hot round, it was a live round, it was a bullet. If you're telling me that that's what came out of his shoulder, there's something really, really scary going on here.
Well, and I think that's what she was
Something
trying
really
to
bad.
ask, is if any time, well, you said these are cold ones, but the ones that are not cold, the quarter,
Right.
those,
They have the crimped
that
head.
they have you ever seen anything like that ever come out on set?
No, it's not possible.
Not possible.
What a stupid question. A crimped round has no projectile. The only thing that flies out of there is powder or burnt powder. Now, theoretically, if the brass casing was cracked or fractured, instead of it opening up, I guess it could technically fly out. But they're not explaining or giving that scenario. This stupid woman still thinks that freaking a crimped round has a projectile.
It's not possible.
Yeah, they don't have a head. I'm saying these.
They don't have there's no projectile.
There's no projectile. Okay. So then, and these shouldn't.
Somebody put a live bullet in the gun.
This guy has a better grasp of this investigation than these 2 idiots. That's sad.
Because these shouldn't separate or do that either.
No.
Okay.
Separate, no, probably.
Like that shouldn't come out either when if it does.
If you did a flash round, that wouldn't be there.
Okay.
This is a cosmetic round only.
Right.
I point the gun, that's in the cylinder. When we shoot the gun...
How many times is he going to retell this story? Because these 2 idiots keep changing it. The reason he keeps re-explaining it, because these 2 idiots still don't get it.
99% of the time, it's a flash round that you don't see the cylinder. You're the camera, and I'm slightly off, so you don't see the
I'm sorry, we keep having you explain that, but it's just because there's different rounds.
Right. I'm saying this is a cosmetic round, to my knowledge. And if there is, another question for you is there a cosmetic round, is there a flash round that has the head, which I believe they have, where you could shoot into the gun? Meaning, if the director wants you to aim the gun at the camera, they put a lucite screen up there, and I shoot the gun at you, you can see the bullets inside there, or they can go to do that with a computer. But if I put the thing toward you and then shoot, they'll have a round that has this on there that'll explode. But again, I've been told that is a clay material or something that just dissolves on explosion. No projectile comes out.
It sounds like he's talking like it might be like a frangible round. And it, made of clay is what he's saying. There's rounds that when they hit, they kind of shatter and go. They call them flangible rounds, and they just kind of disintegrate. So that's kind of sounds like what he's describing, except he's saying they're clay or plaster Paris or paper, so they disintegrate. Again, we're throwing in a new round. How many does anybody know how many different rounds they use on a set? Because I still don't know. And if I was doing this interview, I'd know. I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd have a chart. I'd have the bullets drawn out. And I'd say, when you say dummy, this is a dummy. This is what it looks like. It's got a hole. And when you say blank, this has crimped. And this is the only blanks you use. And I would have that information so we were on the same page. These 2 idiots are, what was your flight plans and what did you eat for lunch?
On a flash round, On a flash round that blows up, that you shoot on camera, quarter, half, full, there is no projectile unless some material is stuck in the barrel of the gun.
Okay.
And I thought for sure what happened was, did they not check there was a stone or whatever? Now again, I am speechless. We're here shooting, everything was going fine. Joel is my friend. I'm one of the producers on this movie. We've developed this movie together for 3 years. I left my wife and 6 kids in New York to come here for a month to shoot this movie, and I'm the one that shot the gun today that had a live bullet go through that woman's body and into his body. And I need to know, how did that happen? Where did that bullet come from?
Okay, so it's different. A lot of people will say, well, you know what, he didn't do anything criminal. It's different that he didn't mean to, and he didn't want it, and there was no intent to harm anybody. Still, his actions resulted in someone dying. And his actions was he didn't check a gun. He took someone's word for it. He pointed it at him. He cocked the gun, and I think he pulled the trigger. He's not saying he pulled the trigger. That's the only way that gun fires. And I did another video on that to where I actually pulled out the same type of gun he's using and showed you that the gun can't fire unless you pull the trigger. But
where did there are no live rounds in her kid, I'm told. Everybody is sitting around waiting for you to come.
well, there was one live round. There's none now because you fired the only live one.
With all the sheriffs and all the people that were there waiting for us to get ready to come and do this with you. All they did was talk about that. So it's speculation of like, in her kit, she doesn't have live rounds.
And that's what we were told. That's what when we asked her, she said there's no live rounds, not even in her kit, not on set, anywhere. So
for that very reason,
we want to know the same question too. Yeah, how if there's not supposed to be any live rounds?
Well, you may want to know, and if you want in one hand and shit in the other, guess which one fills up first, Miss Expert? See, that's what we want to know. Well, how are you going to know that if you don't ask questions? You think somebody just come in there and magically tell? Is that the way you do investigate? I'm pretty sure that these two idiots' solve rate is about 0 unless somebody confesses.
On set,
Then it comes down
how
to
and who
possible manufacturer defect.
or them.
that a cosmetic round shot this projectile through them. Is that possible? Did you find that? I don't know.
It's possible.
Oh, it is. They told you that mechanically, if that's possible.
Yes.
I've
So
heard.
sometimes there is a charge in the end of not intentionally, but
A mistake.
How does she know that? What the hell is she talking about? It's possible, and sometimes, how do you know there's round in there? If I knew that, I would be questioning that. Did you know that sometimes they put live? Why didn't they ask him about that? She's just throwing out information like I'm Miss Smart. Oh yeah, it's possible. I know sometimes there's rounds. Why aren't you sharing that in the interview? Why don't you ask him? Why don't you have him corroborate that happens sometimes? What a freaking bunch of idiots.
Today I sit here, and whether it was a misfiring theatrical round or a live one, I shot this woman with a gun today.
Yeah, and now your 6 kids will be like, my daddy killed a woman. They'll be able to grow up. My daddy killed a woman with a gun because he didn't check it. Or because some incompetent, multicolored hair person loaded the wrong round and gave it to my daddy and he didn't check and he killed a person. And now her kid has to grow up without a mom. Yeah, okay, that'll work.
Yeah, it doesn't feel so good, you know.
Come on. I can imagine that would not feel good.
I feel really bad. You know, it's like everything was going great. The only problem we had was when these 6 guys wanted to quit. And there, I don't know the jargon, but their, union rep or whatever in the New Mexico contract, different contracts in different states, the person that was in charge of these people and a kind of a pipeline, a lot of shooting going.
So we went back from they walked out, they strike, they quit, or they fired. We still don't know because, well, you know why.
Going on a lot of movie, TV work in Albuquerque, Santa Fe. The person was their head person. I was told them don't strike. It's not again. We don't want to cripple the indie business and put all of our employees out of work. Our indie contract is set for now. You have a contract you're under. Now we can renegotiate that.
I don't even know if he was upset that they quit. I don't know if they had words. That one girl said there was all kind of problems and animosity on the set. They haven't asked him any of that questions. Remember, they've already interviewed her. They said it. So she said there was animosity and there was always bickering. And when they left, it wasn't necessarily on good terms. They have not addressed that with him, not once.
A contract, which no doubt they will, but in the meantime, you have a contract that you agreed to, and those men came, I'm not criticizing them, they came under a contract which they knew what it was, they reported to work, and then halfway through the shooting, they left, they walked off. And I don't, when he said to me, well, my guys are sleeping in my car, the ADs and the producers said to me, well, they're
He's talking about sleeping in a car thing. That was one of the issues they were arguing about because they live 60 miles away. So they have to drive for an hour and then drive back. And so sometimes the crew would sleep in their car so they wouldn't have to drive and waste gas an hour there and an hour back. So they would make more money because they didn't want to use their money in gas and time driving. So they chose to sleep on the set in their car and they weren't happy about it. And that's why they end up striking because they complained and they said this is bullshit. And that's why they left. Now, you wouldn't know that because these two idiots aren't asking questions, but I know that from following this and hearing news reports and hearing other people that were inside talk about it.
They're all of a sudden complaining about a contract. They've been working on it for quite a while. And some days we wrap, and they shoot nights. Those are tough. The women, they have to go back to their homes and maybe Albuquerque and drive an hour. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
And we try to put the night shooting on the weekend, so when you wake up the following day, you're off. And then and then some days we wrap the day before they walked up the job, we wrapped at 5:45 in the afternoon. We had a very reasonable day. A very easy day, 6 o'clock. As I'm driving away with them, and I waved to that guy. The guy said, I want to talk to you, the heavyset guy.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving. I said, I'll see you tomorrow. And I left, because I want to get home.
Right.
I want to go call my kids before they go to bed in New York. And yesterday when I was driving, when I saw him, the sun was still out. We didn't shoot a day like we usually shoot till we lose the light.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're here, to shoot New Mexico.
Yeah.
New Mexico is the star of the
scenery.
movie. Yeah.
Okay. So do you, in your opinion, feel that this could have been an accident? Or do you...
I want to believe that. Let me ask you this, because I don't know anything about this, because it was such mayhem when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was sick that this happened, because we didn't know. No one imagined. Everyone thought she was hit by wadding or she got burned. No one presumed she was shot with a bullet. Any projectile went through her body. No one even considered that. That wasn't possible. So the question is, the cartridge that came out. The cartridge is when the gun that they fired. Have you got that?
No.
So we have to send that, we don't analyze that stuff, we collect it, but then we send it to lab.
It was
to analyze.
collected. You have
It will be.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that to me, I'm wondering, what was that? What was in that?
He's asking a good question because on the back of the casing, on the back of the bullet, this isn't a real bullet, but on the back of a round like this, it will say where the bullet was manufactured. I can't believe I don't have a bullet laying around here somewhere. I got bullets all over this damn house. It usually, hang on, let me see. Here's a live bullet on the back there. Little thing is the primer. It should say, and I don't know if it's coming out of focus or not. It should say whether this is a federal or whatever. I can't see it, but anyway, that's on the back of the casing. That's what they should have been looking at.
The measurement, I don't know anything about that. What are they? What ballistics? How can they measure what was in that?
Mm-hmm.
How much of it?
And that'll all be done at the lab.
Yeah, I don't know.
All that'll be done at the lab, but you could have at least known that the round of the casing that you took out of that revolver is either it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Not reloads, but factory. It is a factory loaded round, which means it says Federal, Remington, something on the casing. and it should be and probably is different than all the other rounds. Or it says the same thing on the back of it that the dummy rounds is written, which would lead you to believe somebody put powder in a dummy round either at the manufacturer or afterwards. But these two aren't gun people. They don't have.
All I knew was the gun went off, she hit the floor, he hit the floor, he started screaming. He was in a lot of pain. She went into shock. She didn't talk.
Right.
Her eyes are rolling back in her head. And blah, blah, blah. And bad. And everybody's just...
He just blah, blah, blah over her dying. Blah, 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 blah. She died. Bullet went through her and blah, blah, blah. She died. Really?
Kidding, really? And then they start doing CPR, and everybody gets really panicky. And then people start wondering, what did something, we assumed because the wadding can burn you, there's material that can come out under that, very rarely, that could burn you. But remember, that often doesn't happen because there's always a cold gun on the rehearsal. By the time you leave, if the wadding comes out and it hits somebody, they're 20 feet away from you. In a gunfight, the crew is away. You're not shooting anybody near the crew. And my point is that when she went down, I thought, what was stuck? We all said the same thing. What was stuck in the barrel? Was something left. They didn't clean the barrel, which they always do, always. And was there a rock or something that went through her body? I didn't know about the passing through her body. I know she was hit. I didn't know where, and I don't know to what extent. But we all presumed, as we're sitting outside bullshitting for the last 2 hours while this went on, the aftermath, we assumed something was lodged in the barrel, was a projectile that went into her body. Now, when you tell me that's what came out of Joel's shoulder, that's a faulty round, which I've never heard of that before.
Okay.
Never. I've never.
They're not asking any questions. They're just listening. They're just happy to be sitting in a room with Alex talking. What a shit interview.
Never heard of a theatrical flash round that was loaded into a gun that had a projectile that misfired, and that projectile came out that was a lethal round. Normally, if you're going to have a round that has this on it, it's the material that disintegrates when you fire the gun. Because if you take a flash round with gunpowder in it, whether it's a quarter, half, or full load, and you put a real bullet on, that's called a bullet. That's not a movie bullet. That's a bullet.
Yeah.
How did that happen? I mean, I'm the person that fired the gun. I'm dying to find out how that happened.
I'm glad you're dying to find out, because the woman is actually dead. She really did die to find out what happened.
How did that bullet that caused it end up in her kit?
And again, we're not going to know if it was manufacturer issues or someone did bring a live round until it's been tested and we look at the whole casing and projectile of it.
Let me translate that for you. We're not going to know anything until someone else does their job and tells us. Because we ain't going to freaking know nothing because we don't ask shit.
So is there anybody on set that you would think want to cause a disturbance in the filming or have any issues with anybody on set, minus what happened, if you don't think...
No, in the movie business, there are always some whiny people.
Okay.
But not so much so that they want to shoot somebody.
So nothing...
I've never heard of anything like this in my lifetime, ever. I've made 75 movies.
So in the past couple of weeks that you've been on set, there's nobody really...
There's no one I would imagine would be capable of doing something like this.
Nothing that out of the ordinary.
But again, I think it's a critical point to me, which is, if this is a flash round, if there's a flash round, and you have a piece here, this piece has to be a certain type, in other words, if you wanted, I've told you before.
When was the last time one of these two idiots wrote something down? Anybody watching that? We're just listening to stories, Rick. We don't have to take notes. We're just having fun.
If you want the shot to go off and see that the cylinder cosmetically has a round in there, this is not the thing that was in Joel's shoulder.
But, and then I want to come back to this. You said that when the gun went off, you experienced no kick.
Yeah, there was no recoil. There was no recoil.
He said he didn't remember any recoil, I think, but it doesn't matter. That there was recoil. If a bullet went through a body in another person, the energy that made that happen was not a flash and a little bit of powder. It was a bullet pushing that projectile out at probably 1,000 feet per second to go through that. And I still don't even know whether it was ball ammo or hollow point. But there was a recoil. Sorry, people. Unless there's a new invention that I know about now that guns don't have recoils and you can push bullets out really fast and there's no recoil. We violated the law of physics about opposite and equal reaction, but maybe these two idiots will figure it out.
But I remember. I mean, literally, I'm holding the gun, and literally, slowly pull, turn, cock, bang. And as soon as I cock it, bang! And I jump. I mean, you obviously, that's the last thing you think is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Everything has been done. Every breath we take is to. Again,
instead of asking him, he's described that how many times now? I pulled it and went bang. Not once have they said, let's go through this bang by the numbers. When you pulled it, where did you start cocking it? As you were pulling it or after it was pointed? I was cocking it while I was pulling it. Okay, that'd be nice to know. So as you were cocking it, was there a point when you heard it go click and it stayed back before it went bang? Or did you pull it and as you start to cock it, it went bang because it slipped off your finger? And when you cocked it, do you know that when you cock it, the hammer stays back, right? If you cock a gun, you understand that? If you understand that, why didn't that happen? And he would probably go, I don't know. But you ask these questions to lock down what happened. I still don't know what happened. And I'll never know. Nobody will ever know. Because these two idiots are conducting an interview. Or a so-called interview. Actually, they're just discussing. They're at a sit-down, a sit-and-talk with Alex. They'll write a little book later. My sit and talk with Alex. He was looking at me and I was flipping my hair and he smiled at me and we laughed and he told us about his kids and I was moving because I was just so excited to be here and I was flipping my hair and what a freaking clown show.
Is to obviate that possibility. And the gun went off and all I can think of, as I keep saying, is that I've never heard of a flash round that had a bullet on.
I'll clean my shoes while he's talking. I'll start adjusting. What the hell are you doing, woman?
On top. That had a projectile.
I'll tell you what she's doing. She ain't fucking listening, and she ain't conducting an interview. She's getting paid. She's getting a cool title of being a detective and an interviewer, but she's just sitting in there getting paid and benefits for the sake of PC. Diversity is our strength.
Similar to what came out of Joel's show. I've never heard of that in my life. Ever. Never. Flash rounds normally have the crimping.
We're at 32 minutes. I'm going to let this play out because it looks like we're maybe 13 minutes left.
Now there's a head on there. It's made of a special material. And in this scene, you were to look down the barrel of the gun and shoot. You have to ask them that, by the way. You have to ask, well, both of them were in the hospital now. But was it their intention? Because when I was given the gun, I'm assuming it's a cold gun with nothing in it. When it goes to time to shoot, are they going to see in the barrel that there's a gun there?
Again, with the assuming.
Very often what they'll do is they'll have you put the cosmetic round and I'll draw the gun up, I'll aim it, they cut. And cinematically they'll cut to the other guy going like this. Then they'll cut back to me with the flash round with no projectile. But all I'm saying to you is a theatrical round, a flash round with a bullet head. I've never heard of that in my life ever. Never. Because that's a bullet. Less of a charge, but that's a bullet. I don't know what to say. I've never heard of this before.
I don't know what to say. Well, let me tell you something. If I was conducting an interview, I would know what I would ask and you would know what to say. But because I'm just in here listening to you talk, I understand why you don't know what to say.
What's your date of birth, Alex?
April 3rd, 1958.
Do we have
April 3rd, 1958. Is that his birthday?
Is there someone that we can contact if we have other questions for you?
My assistant's name is Jonah.
Jonah,
Jonah. His last name is Foxman. They told me that you wanted this correct. Jonah, Foxman. Foxman.
I'm surprised she gave the business card back. I expected her to stick it in her pocket as a little trophy.
Do you have any other? We have one more here for interview.
What are you going to do?
You can go wherever.
Well, let me ask you this. Originally, this is a very complicated.
She's going to run out and ask the guys, is there anything else that we need to ask him? Do we miss anything? Is there something else that we should ask? So later, when they see this video, they'll be like, well, you guys were watching and you didn't say anything this guy said. You said we did a good job. And they'll blame it on the guys watching. Why? Because they always go out and ask, what should I do next? And what do I do? And somebody tell me what to do. Because that way, when it gets screwed up, I can't be blamed. I'll say I asked somebody. That's where she's going.
I mean, modest compared to what happened to them, but my wife and my whole family was scared.
Mm-hmm.
And on Saturday, my daughter was going to be in the movie. They had a little part for my daughter.
The 8-year-old?
The 8-year-old.
Oh,
She was so excited to go. And now the question is, Joel's not going to go back to work for a while.
Right.
I doubt he'll be back to work in a week or two.
He doesn't know she's died yet. I don't think they're going to do anything on this movie. If somebody dies in a movie, kind of puts a damper on the theme, and people feel bad if they go to the movie. It'll be like, I'm promoting this woman getting killed. Now, if they wanted to finish the movie and say all profits and proceeds from this movie goes to the victim that was killed, they would probably get a lot of people seeing it and nobody would feel bad about it. But
I doubt. Who knows what they're going to do? They're going to get the shit suit out of them.
I think his was a shoulder. He might, I don't know. It's up to him how he feels and stuff on.
But I'm sure that there are so many insurance issues for them.
There's going to probably be a halt.
They're in a lot of trouble, insurance-wise and civil action-wise. What I'm saying is I told them I would stay here tomorrow. My family's not going to come now.
Okay.
I begged them to come in. My wife wants to cancel the trip. She thinks it's just a weird energy.
The wife thinks it's weird energy. Where would the weird energy come from? Would it be the blood stain on the floor of the person that died? Is that the weird energy we're talking about?
I told the producers that I would stay tomorrow in case anybody else, their insurance investigators, anybody, their lawyers wanted to talk to me. I'll make myself. And then Saturday I was going to fly home to New York and just wait for them to tell me what to do. Did you need me to stay here beyond Saturday? I will do whatever you tell me to do.
Okay, so I think, what we need to do, we're going to go and process the scene. If there's anything else that comes up, and that we need to contact you, you said you'll be here till Saturday? Or you want to fly?
Oh, no, as of now, I'm going to stay tomorrow to make myself available to the insurance investigators and their production's attorneys.
Yeah.
To make myself available. They've told me they're not sure they need to talk to me. I'm going to stay tomorrow and get on a plane Saturday to go home. And God knows when we're going to come back. It might be months.
Okay. So we can contact you.
Yes, as long as we have this number and he's not going to change it.
Right, what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to leave on Saturday unless you tell me not to.
You're okay.
If you tell me to come back in, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. But my wife wanted me to come home.
Yeah, so as long as we have a way of contacting you is what we need to do to get a hold of you, okay? But I think you...
Who thinks if someone else, a pesky citizen, would have shot and killed somebody besides a big Hollywood director, that they wouldn't have arrested him? And he would have been in jail and had to post bond and all this other stuff. He got special treatment. And, I mean, I don't think he should have been arrested. I don't think cops ought to be arresting people when they shoot somebody unless they suspect them of a crime. I think everybody that gets in a shooting should be handled like this guy. Call you in, you want to talk, you don't want to talk? Okay, we're going to do an investigation. If we find out later there's enough to arrest you, then we'll arrest you. We'll put out a warrant. That's not the way they treat pesky citizens. I'm pretty sure this is over, but I'll bump through it.
Unless tomorrow you hear from...
I'll come here right away.
Okay.
Or your office, sorry.
So 2850 is...
My best friends, and you go bowling together and go to the movies together now.
Yeah, we
Very close and very close.
Oh, Aw, we had such a good time. This was so much fun. We don't have any information that we fucking need to conduct an investigation, but we sure did have a good time.
So this is my card. I put her name on the back of that one, but my office is
How do you
that
prefer to be
first one.
contacted? Office?
Oh, let me put because mine's a different,
What size?
yeah, I don't,
Yeah, I want to make sure you have my number too. Whatever.
My desk
these
phone-
freaking
You otherwise?
and that's the process. Not hear from if investigation, but right
Doesn't have my
now.
web.
Okay. Are we ready for Talia?
What?
She didn't make it.
Oh, she told him he died. Oh shit, I'm glad I bumped through this.
I do have some very unfortunate news to tell you.
What?
She didn't make it. Yeah. So Joel's still at the hospital, but the other person involved didn't make it.
Okay, the hand over the mouth. Remember we talk about body language? When somebody puts their hands by their face, they don't want to hear, they don't want to believe, they can't believe what they're hearing or saying or the words being spoken. This is a very, very telltale sign of, holy shit, he does not want to hear this.
Sorry. I just didn't want you to hear it outside of here.
Yeah, I don't want you to hear it outside of here. I'll tell you on camera so we can videotape it and then we'll release it. But I didn't want to tell you outside, so you had it. I'm not even sure why they told him that. I don't know how I would handle it. I'm not sure why they told him that. If I suspected him of doing something illegally, I might have wanted to get a reaction, but I don't suspect him of doing anything intentional.
Is there something we could do for you? Is that Jonah in there?
What?
Jonah, the one back there?
Yeah,
Okay. Would you want Jonah in here with you? What do you want to do? Do you want to make a call?
you can sit.
We should go.
Are you guys needing a ride? Or are you comfortable?
I think they've got their baby.
Are you comfortable driving though?
I want to go call my wife.
Of course, we could even give you privacy.
No, we're going to go. We're gonna go.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
opinions, we're going to go.
No, that's fine. Can I get you more water or anything?
So, give you guys a few minutes in here?
I want to go call my wife.
Okay. So, we're done. That's my take on this interview. These two idiots are freaking incompetent, freaking bullshit, worthless interview. But you know what? You can make your own decision. If you want to think they did a great job and I'm just being mean and I made all this shit up, whatever. My interview would have went different. We'll end that there. Y'all have a good one.